This veteran has seen a lot in her 101 years, including her service as a lieutenant in the Women's Army Corps during World War II. Here is Millie sharing part of her story in her own words.
I grew up in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and of course everything was completely segregated there, and there weren't many very good jobs to be had there. So a cousin of mine had gone into the wax, and I decided that that would be a good choice. I did basic training at Fort Des Moines and also officer candidate training there. And after I was commissioned, I was sent first to Fort McClellan, Alabama, and then to Fort Benning. And in both of those, I was one of the commanders in charge of the WWII detachments when I was at Fort McClellan in Alabama. The first time that I went into town by myself, I think the town was Anniston, I had on my little second lieutenant bar and walking proudly. And a white couple were near me, and she looked toward me, and she said, "Look at that black," and she spit toward me. Fortunately, the spit didn't hit me, and I never reacted. I never let her know that I knew she had done that even. And I, of course, didn't react, because back then was when they were still lynching people. Would have been futile. If I wanted to react, would have been stupid.
We met because I was a new police officer in Howard County, and we were assigned to neighborhood liaisons. And Mrs. Bailey and her husband, Mr. Bill Bailey, were neighborhood liaisons. And we just hit it off immediately. So we adopted each other after that, and we've been together ever since. It's been 35 great years.
On the side of things that I will never forget and that are wonderful, when I was going to Fort Sam Houston to go to Adjutant General School, General Ulio, who was the Adjutant General of the Army, the top, I would say like the top administrative person in the Army, General Ulio, was going there to address my class. And when we got into Fort San Antonio, we were going to get off the train, and all of this brass, these top-level people who were stationed there were there to greet the four-star general. And I was about 3 people behind him to disembark the train. And he looked back and said, "After you, Lieutenant." So he let me go ahead of him. And the shock of these people who were expecting to greet a four-star general, and they looked up and this little brown-skinned lady stepped off. And of course, I had to salute them first because they all outranked me, and under any condition, under all conditions, they had to return the salute, but they certainly weren't going to mess up there with General Lulio right behind me. But that was a time I can never forget, and I wish I had a television of that. The one that is the most outstanding is having Obama elected as president. That was something that I would never have expected. I was received by him at the White House in May of 2015. Mrs. Obama wasn't able to be there, but she left a nice letter with the president to give me, in which she expressed some nice things about me and her regret for not being there. And she included a picture of herself. And she makes beautiful pictures all the time, but this particular one was one of the nicest. They're going to have a Veterans Monument in downtown Columbia, and they have a park area there. And one of the parks is sort of divided into 3 parks, we can say, and one of those is going to be named for me, and that's the one where the monument is going to be located. I've had in a number of honors, received several Lifetime Achievement Awards. I received the first congressional one I received from Congressman Cummings, and then later I received one from President Trump. He became went into the Army after I did. And in fact, when he got his second lieutenant commission, I pinned him with my bars, because by that time I was the first lieutenant. So I pinned him with my second lieutenant bars. I read that a school right up the street here, Runningbrook Elementary School, had been given some computer something. I don't use a computer and I don't even know the right language, but they needed some hardware or software or something. So I called the principal and asked her what was it they needed. And she told me, and I said, well, I will buy it, and I did. But then from then on, I started raising money for the school. So I've had a pretty good run of helping Runningbrook. And they have a bench there outside with a plaque showing that that bench is dedicated to me. I have an ongoing project. I do care packages for our deployed soldiers. I've been doing that for a number of years. I was sent a flag that was flown in my honor while they were actually on a mission, and they sent me the flag already mounted, and also a certificate of authenticity. A lot of people think you have to have a lot of money to do some good, and that's not true. So again and again, I've tried to encourage people to share their blessings with other people.
That's it for this episode of Veterans in Transition. We ask that you like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter and Instagram. Remember, we all have a story to tell. Until next time.